Okay, for our latest Dicktales from the toilet, I'm trying night scene indoor because I found the other day night scene indoor seemed to be perfect for in the car and for looking out the open window of the car too. So yes, we're now, what are we today? We're somewhere in the middle of May. We are Monday the 19th of May, so you know, 3 sevens are 21. We're almost there. If the rains get here next week, hopefully we'll have a diaphanous mist day somewhere if we go up to the Provo site. So yeah. Anyway, today we're on page 199 of our Roberts and Oosting's response to the Venus flytrap term. And down here, very interestingly, it says something about the physical and chemical analysis of the soil under the soil studies classification section. And talking about how they dug the soil pits and things, and you should always dig a soil trench because otherwise taking core samples can compress the thing. As books I've read, they said the only true way to look at the soil profile is to dig a soil trench and look at it from the side. It takes a lot of time. It can take some hours to do some of these things, but that's what you got to do. And then they talk about going from a dark coloured surface horizon. So this is basically just a mineral soil, sometimes with a bit of incorporated so-called in quote organic matter, a bit of sphagnum maybe here and there, unusual, but usually it's quite bare, especially after a bushfire sort of thing, or fire. And it goes down to a yellow-brown sand. And in other parts of this paper they talk about a coffee coloured sand. And of course now from experience we can probably make the assumption that is nitrogen having been fixed into the soil sort of thing. And the clincher is down here, hidden down here, when they talk about the potassium level of the soil being, this is unusual, being an agricultural rating of medium. So they go through all this other stuff and they talk about phosphate, magnesium and iron and blah 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 blah, and there's a few other elements that they didn't test because back then they probably didn't know them, they were micronutrients, blah blah blah. But the clincher is this statement down here about that the Diarrhea soils have a potassium rating or an agricultural potassium rating of medium. So this is an agricultural rating of medium. So this is with agricultural plants, whereas sea peas are supposed to be nutrient poor plants, and they're growing in a soil that has an agricultural rating from a potassium point of view of being medium, and they grow tobacco on these sites, and tobacco is known to like or want lots of potassium sort of thing to grow well in quotes, to get that nice look to it that they need. And so there you go, the clincher between making the assumption that brown soil is actually soil that's fixed nitrogen is this clincher bit here that talks about having unusually high potassium levels for the type of plants that are supposed to be growing in the soil. But anyway, that's today's basic Dicktales from the toilet. I'll just close in on those levels if you want to actually see the levels on those nutrients. If I can get it, it will pick it up for you, fellas. Anyway, you can always go and look this up yourself from the library, but we'll probably do another page now. But that's the important point I wanted to pass on today, is the clincher in this so-called clay Leon soil. It's supposed to be intermixed between two types of soil types, and I still haven't worked out what they really mean by that. I've looked up many things on the web and books and stuff, and it really doesn't quite explain what the term clay Leon, why it's hyphenated that way. They talk about these Dutch cat clays and things like that, and these groundwater podsols and things like that, but it never quite explains. I better read this out. The clay Leon and closely related soil series occurring primarily in regions of smooth relief, in other words flat, are the chief soils occurring in that region of the coastal plain where Diarrhea is found. The chief soil forming the Diarrhea substrate belongs to the St. John's or the St. John's soil series, a groundwater podsol, Lee 1955, and was observed in practically all borings taken at Diarrhea sites. The soil profile description for these sites were all very similar, Most have a thin layer of peaty material at the surface with a